You're listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast, of course, presented by FanDuel, the official sports wagering partner of CLNS Media. Go to FanDuel.com/Boston to sign up today. Of course, it's your boy, Pat Lane, as always, here with my co-host, Matt St. Jean. And today, we have a very special guest. It is Bills week, and so we have a very special guest. One of our best friends over here is Jay Spence. Spence from Buffalo Rumblings and the host of the Code of Conduct podcast. And just doing big things over there. So, Spence, thanks so much for coming through, man.
Thanks, man. Anytime. It's always fun during Patriots week to kind of link with you guys, and I try to make sure I talk my stuff throughout the year anyway, so I'm always watching. But it's always fun for us to be able to connect, and man, and you guys, you're killing it. Ever since the transition, I just want to say I do keep up. I might not comment all the time, but I do want y'all to know I keep up and pay attention. You guys are killing it, man.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we, you of course still over at Buffalo Rumblings, which is great. And they kept you on for a reason. You guys have a great stuff over there. And so, we always love having you back on because you're part of the SB Nation family. I know we're not with SB Nation anymore, but still the SB Nation family.
We're still family.
Yeah,
you're still
exactly.
Family. Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
So, look at this. I didn't even realize this. The Bruins currently up 4-1 on the Sabres. So Boston team beating a Buffalo team right now as we speak. So maybe good karma. So
Sabres, man. It's like I don't know what to do. Like the Sabres. So I'm not a hockey fan, but it's like I try to get into it, and every season it's like you try it when the season starts. All the the fresh excitement is there, so you try to dive in on it, and then the Sabres just come out, and every year, man, it's like they do this, and it's like what, you're right. I just I'll stick to what I know. I'm okay for now.
Well, I remember they drafted Jack Eichel, and everyone was like, "Oh, Jack Eichel's gonna be this," and he's a Boston guy and everything like that, and they just could never do anything with him, and so. He's gone. He's somewhere else now. I'm not sure where he even is, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure the organization mishandled that situation, and he was like, "I want out."
Yeah,
if I'm remembering that correctly.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Do the Bills and the Sabres share the same ownership?
They do. The Pagulas are the owners,
which is interesting because I feel like they've done such a good job with the Bills. I mean, I guess maybe it's just as of late, but I feel like they've done a really nice job lately.
I feel like they lucked into it. So their first hire. So they they get the team, and their first hire for head coach is Rex Ryan, and then they bring in Rob Ryan as his defensive. I don't even. Yeah. It was just bad. So I feel like the whole thing with Sean McDermott and actually getting Brandon Beane in as general manager, I kind of think it was one of those situations where it was just like, what, the stars aligned. You got the right quarterback, you got the right coach, you got the right GM at the right time, and it just aligned for us. We've been patient. We've been in purgatory for long enough. Yeah. So it just lined up for us now. But the Pagulas, I will tell you though, I do think that they're good owners as far as they're not cheap with their franchises. Anything that the team needs as far as technology, as far as coaching, as far as anything, they're gonna go and try to get it done. It's just unfortunately they just haven't figured the formula out for hockey as they have for football right now. But it's coming. Just be patient, Sabres fans. Be patient.
Also helps when you got a ton of talent on the roster. That also helps. That helps. You know what I mean? So you gotta go out and do those things. And it's funny, you look at what they're kind of what they did and what Philadelphia did is very similar, right? You feel like you have a really good team and you're just missing that number one guy, right? And you go out and you get that number one guy in Stefon Diggs. And it's funny because it worked out for Minnesota too, because they ended up drafting Justin Jefferson, right? Tennessee, not so much because they drafted the wrong guy, right? And so it's kind of funny how it can benefit you if you draft the right guy, but it seems to work out for the team that makes the trade for that number one guy anyways. And Diggs is a guy that I believe it's 9 straight weeks doesn't have a 100-yard receiving game. Knocked me out of my fantasy league a few weeks ago, unfortunately, because I started him and I shouldn't have. But nevertheless, I will say this week, and it's a little teaser for our prop bets later on. But this week I have a note in my phone, literally a note that I had put in my phone from the last time the Patriots played, and Diggs had a rough game against the Patriots the last time we played, and the Patriots were talking this shit, man. They were, oh yeah, that guy, yeah, so and so, and he's not doing anything, and he's this guy and this guy, and so I literally put a reminder in my phone that was like, bet the Stefon Diggs over on receiving yards, because it's just like, I was like, this dude's gonna come in and be like, nah, no, I'm putting up 150 on these guys. You're gonna talk that junk, So we'll see if that really happens. But that's where I feel is trending for Stefon Diggs.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a Bills fan, of course, I would love to see it. And then I have them in a couple fantasy leagues, so I would love to see it. But even outside of that, the thing is that I'm impressed with, and I feel like a lot of Bills fans would say the same right now. So right now, the thing is, the Bills have been figuring out how to win lately, and we haven't had to have Stefon Diggs have a big day. We've been finding ways with James Cook. We've been finding ways with Dalton Kincaid or Khalil Shakir in other moments, or we're finding other ways. Gabe Davis is over this last weekend. So the thing is, once you get to the playoffs, once you get to these moments where your back is against the wall and you have to figure it out, you do have a superstar in Stefon Diggs that can turn it on. But I will say this season, I give him a lot of credit all the time. I show him love as much as possible, but also got to be honest, he's had more drops this year than he's had his entire career. So, it also comes to a point where, look, we got to figure out how to get him the ball. Josh has to stop with these underthrows. Last week he had like 2 in the first quarter, 1 in the second. So you got to be accurate and get your guy the ball. But then also Diggs has to be Diggs. Like, you can't I can't be rough on Gabe Davis last season when he has 7 or 8 drops, and then this season say nothing about Diggs. So like I said, I love Diggs, and he's that dude, and I know he's going to be that guy for us in the playoffs. But it's been a combination of all of it. He has to start catching some balls, man, Paul. But he has to start catching some passes. He has to.
Right.
It's going to be a banged up New England secondary this week too. I mean, it has been all season, but they just you got Alex Austin playing a ton of snaps for you, and they just picked up the name is escaping me, but the guy from Arizona who played at Florida and threw the shoe in that game. Yeah. Just grabbed him off waivers. Maybe he'll play and see some Stefon Diggs on Sunday. So
it'll be rough.
So wait, I might be missing something because I haven't even looked yet. So is J.C. Jackson, is he out?
J.C. Jackson,
away from the team.
Yeah, so he 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, going into the game they lost, the home game they lost, was active for the game and then never showed up. And so he left for whatever reason, and his agent came out and said something like, he's dealing with some mental health issues right now. And so he's on one of those like reserve lists, right? Where it's like a non-football injury list. And so he is away from the team right now. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I apologize. Normally, I'll already be caught up to the point where I've watched the game, like the last 3 games and whatnot. Christmas weekend has thrown me off completely. Man. I went to LA, and then so I haven't even watched the last weekend's Bills game back yet. So I'm definitely trying to catch up. But the reason why I asked that is because last time we did play you guys, J.C. Jackson actually had a good game against Diggs. Now, there's been times in the past where Diggs kind of. He had his way. He had his way with the defense, in New England. So we'll see what happens. But with that being the case and those guys being out, man, then I'm expected to help me do my parlay for my my show this Sunday. So thank you. I gotta.
There you go.
That's gonna be big.
Yeah.
So my question here is, how has the interior of the line looked for the Bills? Because I think the way the Patriots are going to try to stop Stefon Diggs is just. As much Christian Barmore in Josh Allen's lap as possible here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be honest with you. In years past, it's been one of my biggest complaints about the Buffalo Bills. Protect Josh Allen. We got to learn how to run the football. We can't block properly. We got to get. Not this season. I haven't had a complaint. There may have been a moment here or there where you might have some cause, but to me, that's more so about just doing your job, in not making mistakes. But as far as protecting Josh Allen and doing the things that they're supposed to do, The offensive line, this is the best that I've seen it since Josh Allen has been quarterback. So there's going to be opportunities for sure. Even our you talk about the middle of the line there. Our rookie, he's Osiris. He's doing a great job. Osiris is doing a fantastic job. So when I say this, I'm giving him a lot of credit and a lot of praise there. But he's a rookie. So there's been moments during the season where, you can tell that he's a rookie. But overall, I don't have many complaints. Spencer Brown last season, Bills fans were ready for him to go. They're like, man, get this guy out of town as fast as possible. Now this year, he's playing at a level that, people are like, man, what year is he in on his contract? Do we need to extend him already? Like he's playing great, and Deion Dawkins is Deion, so we're playing very well up front. We're running the ball. First time since LaShawn McCoy that we've had a really effective run game without having to have Josh Allen 700, 650 rushing yards.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So no, it's been fun to watch after we've made the transition with our offensive coordinator.
You can talk about winning in different ways, right? And I just, that Cowboys game to me, I mean, Josh Allen attempts 15 passes, which is insane. I mean, you got a guy that attempts 15 passes and you're like, all right, well, they must have had just a brutal game or something must have happened or whatever. But they went 31-10 and, they give the rock to James Cook, 25 times? I mean, like they just ran at will and just dominated that Buffalo defense. And so the Patriots have been one of the best rushing defenses in the league, right? And so you wonder if they're going to switch roles now this week and say, well, it's tough to run against the Patriots. So we're going to run at times, but we're not going to focus on the run game, right? We're going to kind of run to set up the pass. And it's those moments when the Patriots were winning Super Bowls. That's what they would do, is that you'd go in and say, all right, well, they got Brady, and they'd run 35 times and win by 20. You're like, what the hell? Like they didn't even throw, And so being able to do that with your offense makes you so hard to defend, especially when you have an elite quarterback and actually good weapons on offense like the Bills do, because now it's like you never know how they're going to beat you, right? You can't game plan against them because they're almost impossible to stop at that point. And so I think that the Bills really have found something with James Cook and found something, like you said, with the new offensive coordinator. I think that really has made a big difference for them. And so, I wonder what you think about that. I mean, I know you mentioned a little bit, but kind of what you think about if you're going to see this, kind of continue for them.
I mean, that would be the goal, because this is the first time since, like, I guess I want to say like the peak of like Brian Daboll's time in Buffalo, where it just seems like everything is clicking. And to have a quarterback like Josh Allen, I mean, you guys get it. Like you've had Tom Brady during that stretch, and so like just imagine having Tom Brady and having a team where it's like, look, we have a Randy Moss caliber player. Why are we not like? Why aren't we winning? It's like, why isn't the offense looking like the offense? And, you have games and, this season you lose to the Broncos, you lose earlier to the Patriots, you lose to, you think of these games where you almost, when the schedule comes out, you write them off and then you end up losing them. And now you're in a place, luckily now things have turned around and the playoffs seem like it's a short thing, but you were fighting for that position. So now things are looking good. You need to continue that. And I think the connection that Josh Allen and Joe Brady have together, I think that works. I think that you're seeing a lot of motions and just a lot of things that will confuse defenses and make defenses unaware of what your intentions are. Instead of, let's bring this extra offensive lineman in and bring another tight end, and no, we're not going to run the ball. We're just, instead of doing that, they actually do things that make James Cook looks like he might go out for a pass, and instead he actually does cut back on the counter and do something crazy, go for 20 yards. It's just a whole different level of creativity that I'm enjoying to watch when it comes to them putting the guys in position to what they do best. Like Kincaid is a very good route runner. He's a very good catcher of the football. So what they're doing is they're putting him in positions against guys who can't defend well. That's what smart offensive coordinators do. And that's what we're finally getting with him. First part of the season, we could see it. If you go back and watch all 22, oh my God, he was open almost every play. we weren't getting on the ball. Now it just seems like every week he's having a big play here, or he's making a third down catch for a first down there. You have to continue. That was a long way to answer your question. Yes, this needs to continue for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, and I think the other thing that's helped you guys out is figuring it back out defensively. You know, that you start off the year so strong on defense, and then you get bad injuries. Milano and Trey White go out, and I mean, you let Mac Jones go up and down the field on you. I feel like in some ways that's a low point, and now the defense looks a lot better than it did. I think you've kind of figured out ways to scheme around the issues. So then it's just easier on the offense. You can play looser. You don't have to play from behind. And you can, you don't have to worry about turning the ball over as much because the defense has your back. You can play with more fluidity. And, no matter who the play caller is, having a defense help out on the other end is going to make your offense look better.
I mean, it's kind of layered, so yes, on one hand, I do think the defense is playing a little bit better. I think they figured out a way to kind of mask Matt Milano not being there and to kind of help out where you lose a Daquan Jones. They're using the safeties a little bit more as linebackers. So Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, well, he's been injured, but Jordan Poyer, when he's in, he's almost playing what Matt Milano's position is. And then they bring in the Taylor Rapp, they bring in the DeMar Hamlin at certain situations to where you have some depth and you can kind of bring, you still can do that and allow Jordan Poyer to fill in a hole elsewhere. But also the thing is that the offense looks good. So you're finally doing some things where you're playing complementary football and offense to where now you're not losing the time of possession game. You go back to that Bengals game that we lost, and the Bills lost, I believe it was like 33 or 34 minutes to 20. It was like the time of possession was off. The game against the Broncos, time of possession was lost. And, and when that happens and you have an older defense, you got a Von Miller coming back off a knee injury. You have, it's just, guys, you're not looking at these 21-year-old guys that can be out there all day. So when that happens, they're gassed in the fourth quarter, and that's how you lose a game against the Broncos in the fourth. That's how you lose against the Patriots, and you can't come back to beat the Jaguars. That's how that happens. So look, when your offense is able to win that time of possession and the defense can kind of rest and enjoy, and then you're turning the ball over. Now you have more energy. You're, in the fourth quarter when those guys are scrambling, trying to figure things out. Now there's a tip drill. Now things are fun, but it's not fun when teams are ahead and they can run the ball in the fourth and just pound. It's not as much fun. So I think it's twofold. The defense have figured a couple things out, but I think Ken Dorsey being transitioned on and moving on to Joe Brady and the offense absolutely just looking more like the offense that we expected. I think that's the thing that has changed the season for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it too. I mean, you need the defense, right? You need the defense to play the way they've been playing. You're led by it should be the way it should work for the Bills, that the offense should be leading the way, right? But you need the defense to kind of play that complementary football. And, like Matt said, you started out strong on defense, shaky on offense. Then you got better on offense, but then shaky on defense, right? And now it seems like they're both playing well together. And so I think that makes such a big difference. And Matt Milano, BC guy, we all love Matt Milano around here. And he was a guy that a few years ago when he was up for free agency, I was like, we need to bring Matt Milano in. People were like, why? And I'm like, are you nuts? Look at what he's doing over in Buffalo. But it was before. It's funny because he really hadn't become a household name at that point. I'm sure Bills fans knew who he was and liked him, but he really wasn't a household name before that point. And they signed him to that extension. And the very next year, he was an All-Pro. And I was like, man, I told you. I'm sitting there like, what the hell, man? I told you this guy needed to come back. So, of course, they never even let him get a free agency, which is the right move. But it is funny to see him and Trey White go down with injuries. And then, the defense plays kind of even better than they were. And so I think this is the moment. And look, we talked about this. I think I mentioned this on your show. Last year felt like the year, right? It felt like the year you had the horrifying shooting at the beginning of the year, which kind of brings the community together, and you feel like we're playing for the community. And then you have, of course, the DeMar situation at the end of the year, which is horrifying. And then you just felt like the team was so good and they had all these things behind them. But then it's also there's also so much added pressure when stuff like that happens, right? Where it's we can't let people down because we're playing for more than just us. It's bigger than that. That can be daunting, right? And that can feel like a lot of pressure. Whereas this year, they sucked, right? They were 6-6. They were on the outside looking into the playoffs. They had the McDermott stuff comes out, the Von Miller stuff, which I still don't know if there's been even what the hell happened with that thing. But like, you had all these things, and no one's talking about them anymore. And now all of a sudden they've gone on this 3-game run where it's like they look like the best team in football. And so I think that this is one of those years where like the Bills can, sneak into the playoffs, quote unquote. No one's talking about them, and all of a sudden they become this team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs, and they can make a deep run. And I think a lot of that is because of what happened kind of at the beginning of the year, or that kind of middle swoon, where then they come back from that and no one's talking about them, and boom, they sneak in and surprise everyone.
It's funny you mentioned some of the things that happened last year. I can probably list another 8 things that happened to the team that part of the thing that last year that a lot of people just don't want to give credit to is the fact that these guys got burned out, man. Like, you mentioned the emotional roller coaster of it. Our one half of our ownership, Kim Pagula, had a health scare that completely changed the dynamics of what a day-to-day looked like around the building, because she was more involved on a day-to-day basis. She was, and so you talk about that. So that changes. Then you talk about, your defensive coordinator takes a step away from the game. He chooses not to be around. Yep. And then you talk about, last year, that was the year that Brian Daboll gets hired for head coach, so he leaves. So now he gets a whole different voice on the offensive side. Then you talk about, just physical snowstorm the week before Thanksgiving in Buffalo. You have to, last minute, we think the game is going to get canceled. It's a Thursday night game. Tuesday, they decide to go to Detroit to play a home game. I'm just saying, like, so it's things like that a lot of things that add up to the end of the year. Then you talk about the Damar Hamlin tragedy, but then it turned out to be just a beautiful story. Then you get to the playoffs, and it just all comes crashing down. Now, we got destroyed. There's no excuses for getting destroyed. But I mean, like, these guys got burned out. Now, one of the things that I think is crazy about this year, you mentioned the story about coach, and you talk about all this other stuff. I feel like this team this year feels like these stories are almost like nothing. Like, it's like, oh, okay. The coach came out and he made a statement about it. Like, yeah, okay, I did say it. I apologize because it was stupid. I shouldn't have said, like, I was trying to land somewhere and it didn't quite land. But whatever, we moved on. Like, and that's nothing compared to last year. That's nothing compared to Damar Hamlin dying in front of your eyes on the field.
Right.
That's nothing. So when you compare it to all of these other things from last year, I think the team this year, they're able to look at these distractions as like, this is high school stuff. All right, whatever. Let's move on. Now, I do think there are some serious things that's going on. That Von Miller thing, I'm on the side of things that, look, I understand that whatever happened as far as somebody saying that it didn't happen the way it happened. I know that there was a call made to the police. I know that there were photos. I know that there's a police report. And I know that this is not the first time that things have been said. So for me, I feel like the investigation needs to be made. Like, something, we need to figure out whatever's happening there. I'm not saying Von is guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent. What I'm saying is we need to figure this thing out, because if this guy is, if he's a guy that doesn't need to be in a position to be benefiting from his talents because he doesn't know how to treat women, then that's something that this team needs to know. Now, if he's innocent, then great. That's something that we need to know to clear his name, so that way we can move forward and we don't have to worry about any dark cloud going forward. Right. But aside from that, I think this team this year, there's no drama, man. Like, this is actually, I think the article thing actually motivated the team. Like, all right, come on, let's get together and just rally behind coach. Let's just show what it really is like.
Well, and I think with where the Bills are too, when you kind of play well for most of the season, but it doesn't translate into wins and losses, and you're kind of, just shooting yourself in the foot, and then you find ways to get things going. You build confidence in the team and camaraderie in the locker room, and guys come together, and you can almost start playing your best football at the most important time in the season because of it. So, like, I'll tell you this, but I would not want to be the team that has to play the Bills in the playoffs, assuming you get in, because they might end up being a 6th seed here, but they're not a 6th seed in terms of the way they play on the field. Obviously, that's going to depend in part here on what happens Sunday afternoon, because the Patriots can try to spoil this party right here. But no, I mean, it's the way it looks right now. It looks like another Bills at Chiefs game. That's most of the projections I'm seeing, which has to be a little bit traumatizing for you to see that as a possibility. But it is a great opportunity to kind of get some revenge and get over the hump.
But see, for me, it's not. Isn't so now we haven't done it in the playoffs, so I guess from that perspective, it's like, yeah, you can beat them at their home during the season, and it is what it is, and you got to do it in the playoffs. But without even taking that into context, to me, it's like, look, I look at the Chiefs, and I'm just not afraid of them. Like I think most teams used to be. I think Patrick Mahomes, we all know that he's still big. He's like, the dude is awesome, right? But when he throws it and those guys catch it, whatever happens after they catch it, it just doesn't quite look the same when you're watching Kansas City.
If they don't catch it.
I was gonna say, and even then, sometimes they don't even catch it. Defensively, oh my God, I love to watch their defense. They play very good defense. They're young, they're fast. I think their defensive line, they're nasty. I love that type of football. But when you watch that offense, man, if Travis Kelce, if a defense figures out how to kind of just kind of put the clamps on him, it's tough for anybody else to get going. Isaiah Pacheco is a weapon, but outside of that, man, it's tough for I feel bad saying this because I hate giving the guy any type of. I'm sure you guys saw me on Christmas going in on Patrick Mahomes and everything, so I hate to give him any excuse. But it's like his supporting cast really. This is what Lamar Jackson had to deal with most of his career.
Right. Well, and it's funny because we up here in New England talked about that with Brady, right? And the rest of the league was like, oh, Brady's just over the hill. 2013 is the perfect example. Like, he set the record for like most drops in a season, right? And it was just like, he just thinks now. And it's like, well, actually, his supporting cast is terrible. Like, what do you want him to do, right? And so, but it was that, like, he never got a break. And now I feel like Mahomes is getting all the breaks. Oh, his supporting cast is this and that. And it's funny, we talk about Travis Kelce and everyone, the curse of Taylor Swift and all this crap. And now, Travis Kelce's not as good as he used to be. And it's like, well, he's like 50 yards away from another 1,000-yard season. Like, he's doing pretty good. Like, he has the second most yards out of any tight end in the NFL right now. So, like, it is funny when you look at, because you expect the projection, you expect the productivity to be up here, right? And it's still like here, it's just not quite as high as it has been in the past, right? And so it is interesting to kind of see, the pedestal that we put these guys on, and then to kind of see what they have is interesting. I just don't think this Chiefs team, you don't have to worry about 13 seconds with this Chiefs team. Like, you take the lead with 13 seconds left. I think you'll be all right. You know what I mean? So like, but it is interesting to kind of see. I think that matchup would be awesome. I think the Bills
I'd love the drama.
Probably win, but I think it'd be an interesting matchup.
Yeah. The team I always come back to is the 06 Pats team, where you got Brady throwing a Rashae Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney and Chad Jackson and Doug Gabriel out there. And of course, the response to that was to go add Wes Welker and Randy Moss for the same season. So
right,
I think we're all on the same page and hoping the Chiefs don't go ahead and do the equivalent. I'm hoping the Chiefs don't trade for Devontae Adams and sign Mike Evans or something like that. Like, that would be bad news.
Not good. Not good for anyone involved.
No, we don't need that at all. No. And I don't want them to draft anybody.
No,
I don't want any. You just stay like this.
Right. Exactly.
Stay moral.
We like you flawed. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I had a question for you here about, now you're a little bit of an outsider here, obviously not listening to the Boston Sports Talk Radio and not, paying attention to the Patriots, but not watching every game. What do you think about Bill Belichick? Do you think Bill Belichick should be gone next year? Do you think he will be gone next year? What's your take on it? Because obviously it has an impact on you, but it's not as impactful as Patriots fans. And so just curious kind of what you think as an outside perspective, I guess.
For me, I do think that he's gone. I know. So you and I spoke on my show the other day, and you talked about how the team is still playing hard for him, and how you can just kind of see certain things that kind of make you question whether or not he's actually going to be gone. And I can see that. But then I also look at it where he might not come, at least to me, he might not come across where he wants to come out and say like, yo, I'm the GOAT, but I think there comes a moment where, his ego has to be bruised. When we just talked about Tom Brady, he goes to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl. This guy has been struggling since Tom Brady has left. And I think for him to go somewhere where there's an opportunity where you can step in and it's like, this team needs a coach and maybe, a couple pieces here or there. Like you got a team with a court. I could see, there's a opportunity that opened up in LA with a very good quarterback, with a very good running back and wide receiver and a decent, I could see him going a defensive mind, putting some pieces together for a team that struggled defensively. I could see that. So it just depends on what you think he wants to do. I think for him, I don't think he wants to go out the last few years with his resume looking like this. Now, as far as the team playing hard for him, I absolutely see that. And that's why I don't think anybody should go into this weekend sleeping on the Patriots. I think the Bills just are in a motivated space. So that's why I think we do cover. But I don't think we cover because it's like, oh, the Patriots suck. And I think you play hard for Bill. I just think that right now the Buffalo Bills understand, like, look, we can't leave anything to chance. Like, we have to control our destiny. We have to do it.
As a Bills fan, will you be happy to see Bill walk away?
No. I like him losing right now. Like, I'm being honest. Like, he's won so many games, and then I know he's what is he, like 17 or 18 games away from, like,
I think
he's close to like the all-time record, right? 14 games.
14, yeah.
I don't want to see that. Like, no, I want you to win 2 games every year, win 3 games every year. If you want to break it, you're going to need 9 seasons, Bill. Is that what you want to do? That's fine. That's what I want to see. But no, to be honest, I respect him as a head coach. I would like to see him stay there, retire as a coach there, go out. I don't want to go see him, start over a program with a different city, with a different time. No, I would like to see him stay.
Okay. Interesting. It's a good take on it. It's a good take. So you think?
I felt like that about Brady, though. I'm not the one to run from competition. As great as he was, I wanted to. Oh man, so bad. I wanted it to be where things crossed up, where he was great. He had a good team. We had Josh. We had a good team, and it was like, no, we really beat you guys. And it wasn't like. It wasn't the old beat down Tom Brady. It wasn't Peyton Manning in his last Super Bowl. It was like, no, we took it from Tom Brady. Right. We didn't get that opportunity, man. So, like, I feel like that's what's happening for us with the coaching level of it. So I want him to stay, but no, I wanted Brady to stick around, man. I did.
I'm sure that 2021 playoff game felt good, but it would feel a lot better if it was 12 on the other sideline.
Yeah, it was great. But if 12 was there, man, like you.
if 12 was there, it does not go down like that. I'll tell you that much.
No, it doesn't. But even if we won by 3 with 12 there, like,
right,
it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's funny, and that's one of those things. Is when he came up here with Tampa, and the Patriots attempted that 59-yard field goal that Nick Folk just missed. Mm-hmm. I was 100% sure Folk hit that field goal to take the lead, that we were going to watch Tom Brady drive the Bucs down and win the game, and it was going to be like, we lost, but that was freaking awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it just, and I'm like, God damn it, But I of course we lost to Brady, but I was like, we got robbed. Like, I wanted to see that. Like, that's like that's what he did forever, and for him to come back to Gillette and do that, like, what a story that would have been.
You got to I will say for 20 years.
We did. That's true.
I'm watching. I did enjoy watching the Bucs beat the Bills, and I think it was 2021. Yeah, it must have been the same season. I'm watching Brady do it to you guys. That was, it was like, what, the Patriots, we don't know what we got here, but I can still watch Tom Brady beat the Bills.
You know what, though? I actually enjoyed that game, too, because that was our turnaround for us. Like, that season, we had gone on like a 3-game losing streak, and the second half in that game, Josh Allen came out on fire, and we almost won that game. Like, we almost came back and won, and then after that, we ripped off like 4 straight, went to the playoffs, did a thing. So
I remember that.
Was that the game after the Monday night game with the wind in Buffalo with the Pats and the Bills?
I believe that's right after you guys beat us.
Yeah, because I remember that, because I remember thinking that the Bills were broken because the Patriots beat them with throwing 3 passes. And then you came out and laid an egg in the first half, and I'm like, this is it. Season's over. Like, they're gonna go into the tank. And then you guys came on the second half and friggin' played your butts off. And again, lost, but showed the fact that you weren't gonna give up, and that the season wasn't over. And then that's where that, kind of everything turned, like you said. So it is interesting to see kind of how the seasons work that way, So, and I think you're in a very similar situation right now where you get to 6-6, you lose some ugly games, you lose to the Patriots. I mean, to lose to the Patriots, to be the only team in Mac Jones's career, you are the only team in Mac Jones's career that has scored over 21 points where he's won the game. So the Bills have that distinction. The only time that a team has scored
over 22. Texans had 22 in his comeback win his rookie year.
21, but okay. Over 22 points where he won. And it's just like
happens.
That's the only time it's ever happened for him. So you got that distinction going on for you. So but yeah,
it
always
happens to us though. Like it always happens to us. Like think about it. Like I can give you so many examples of stuff, man.
Yeah.
But it's like, Zach Wilson has like his before this one game where he threw for like 300, but he has his best game against us. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles on the 4th play from
you lose
the start of the game,
crazy.
and we lose to Zach Wilson on Monday Night Football.
On Bills. A punt return in overtime of all things. It's not even
man. You know what I'm saying? Like so.
Yeah.
So you giving me the stat now? I get it. Like that's us, man. That's us.
Well, the Broncos game too was.
Yeah, and that's
one of the again,
you look back and you look.
What's it like losing to the Broncos? Can you tell me about
12 men on the field.
I don't know what it's like to lose to them. So
I mean, it's okay. You lost to everybody else this year.
That's a great point.
So. We beat the Bills. So
all right, I'll talk to you Monday.
I'll
hit you up Monday.
It's funny though when you look at we were looking at 2003 when the Patriots lost 31-0 in Buffalo and then won 31-0 here in New England to cap the season off. And I was at that game and I remember like we got the backups in because we're like whatever, and Larry Izzo, who's like a special teams guy, gets an interception in the end zone to seal the victory, and the place went nuts because we just all we wanted was to finish the shutout. And of course it happened, but the Bills. But now this becomes a situation where it's funny because we're on the flip side now, right? Now it becomes, we're the little brother and you guys are beating up on us. And it's like, oh, we beat the Bills? Oh, guess what? We're going to hang that over your head. And, we might lose by 30, but, like, we beat you. So
like, we beat you. We got one this year.
So, and it's just, you enjoy the victories when you can. And then you talk your smack, even though you're going to lose. And it is what it is, and you have fun with it. And I think that's, and we talked about this on your show anyways, but the fun banter back and forth is good. You never want to hear, F you and F that. And it's like, no, we don't need to get, we don't need to get rude with it. Right. Like we can have fun serious. And that's the thing. Like have fun. It's a game. Like, let's have fun. And, we love the same game. We just happen to like different teams. So like, whatever, you know what I mean? So, but it is fun. That's one of the reasons why I love interacting with you and everything's positive and we can give each other crap and go back and forth and stuff. But at the end of the day, like we know it's just jokes and we're just kind of messing around with each other. So,
all day. And
Spence, I got a question for you here before we let you go. Cause we got the announcement today about Hall of Fame finalists.
Ooh,
Rodney Harrison made the Hall of Fame finalists, which is, I know Patriots fans have wanted him in for a while, but I'd love to get the Bills' perspective. Do you think he should be a Hall of Famer, or you think he's just on the outside?
Yeah. No, I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, so again, like I can hate you guys, and I do. I hate you, like I hate you so much. But I can be honest and say, like, you guys have had like some all-time greats on those rosters, and Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and he was there. But you also had some studs on defense, and all-time great defenses overall. And Rodney Harrison was one of those guys that, like, when I think about the Patriots, I think about Rodney Harrison. So no, he's a in my book. If he's not, I think something's wrong. Like, what are we doing?
It's interesting when you look at the stats and you think about you compare his stats to guys like John Lynch, who's already in the Hall of Fame. And you're like, well, his stats are way better than John Lynch. And there's another guy that he's escaping me, but it's the same type of thing where it's like, his stats are way better. He's just not as liked. People don't like him as much. And that's why, he's not in. So
that's been my problem though. I feel like, and I get it. There's been certain positions and certain players that, I've loved. So like, for instance, when you're a top 3 or 4 player of your position at all time, I don't think there's any question that you should be a first ballot,
Right.
So I'll leave that alone. So like, I just think off field things are things that have nothing to do with your performance. Your relationship with the media during your career should have nothing to do with whether or not you're a Hall of Fame player. If I don't like to talk to people, I don't like to talk to people. Like, that just
Right.
is what it is.
Right.
I'll come and
Yeah.
do my little media availability that I have to do, that I'm required to do by the league, but I don't have to be best friends with you guys and treat you all the beers when we get to my hometown. I don't have to do all of that. And the fact that they make people suffer, when it comes to their resumes, because at the end of the day, once you get in your Hall of Fame, if you're a first that matters on your resume to these guys. Like, that matters to say first ballot Hall of Famer, 6-time All-Pro, 4-time. It matters to throw that on there. So when
100%.
now you take that from somebody and you make them wait 3 seasons to get in, when good and damn well, like, come on, how many guys? Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. What other wide receiver do you think of that's a freaking all-time great that should have been in on the very first time?
Right. Yeah. T.O. The
It's
fact that
insane.
T.O. didn't get in, stupid.
It's insane.
It's just stupid.
So it just bothers me. And I know Rodney Harrison isn't to that level, where it's like but they don't like him. So the same thing. It's
he's got all the fines too in the suspensions, which I think is like,
right.
I don't think it's fair to hold that against him, but it's more understandable than some of the stuff. But it's like, I don't know.
The thing for me is that
it's weird.
Well,
he's a weird case.
The part of it for me is that if he had played 10 years earlier, he'd be widely respected as one of the best safeties of all time. But because he played after that time, he played like Ronnie Lott. Right. And so, like, everyone considers Ronnie Lott one of the best safeties of all time, but they don't feel the same way about Rodney because he played 10 years later. And it's just like, well, that's stupid. You know what I mean? And so, talk about the only safety. He's one of 2 players in NFL history that has 30 sacks and 30 picks. Like, and the other guy is Ray Lewis. So, like, it's good company. You know what I mean?
Company,
like,
yeah.
And so, those are the types of things where you're right. It's like, yeah, you didn't like the guy the way the guy played. The fan bases didn't like him. So what? Like, what difference does it make? Like that. That's the stuff for me and T.O. is, purely his personality. That's 100% why. And it's like, yeah, his personality sucked. Fine. But like, you didn't like the way he was doing, sit-ups in his driveway because he looked like a dummy. Fine. I get that. I can respect that you don't like that. But like,
that you don't like him. Yeah.
But like, come on now. Like, you saw what he did on a bunch of different teams and how good he was. The guy deserves to be a Hall of Famer. And it's silly.
Yeah, you can respect that you don't like him or whatever, but the respect should go the other way, in that you aren't being paid for this job based on if you like the players you're covering. Your job is to report on, how good they are at what they do, or how not good they are, or their personalities or whatever. But the personality is not about the accolades. Like, that should be its own separate thing here, unless things go to some crazy extreme, like, people who have committed crimes, but that's a very different scenario.
Right.
So yeah.
Anyways, well, we got off on a little diatribe, but Spence, man, we love having you on so much. We really do. We hate the Bills, but we love you, and we love you coming through. So before we let you leave, though, you gotta plug. Tell everyone where they can see you and read you and hear you and everything else.
Yeah, real quick, we just talked about the Hall of Fame. I do want to say Steve Tasker should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Other than that,
yes.
I just wanted to say that. But other than that, everywhere you can find me at J Spence the King. Please follow Buffalo Rumblings. I'm everywhere, man. I'm live normally Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Sundays. I do the pregame rumbling show, or whatever game day is for the Bills. I'm live that day. So we have a ton going on over there. We have a lot of good stuff. So, gentlemen, like you just said, Pat, I appreciate you guys, man. It's always fun to link. Anytime. Just let me know. Just send me the time and date, and I'll be there.
I appreciate that. And I couldn't recommend it more. And we talked about this on your show, but like the way that the interaction, you're just a great guy. And it really is like, it's fun interacting with you on Twitter. It's fun. It's always fun. And that's the thing, is that we never take it too seriously. It never goes, but it's a lot of fun, and you're a great dude. And so we love connecting with you and interacting with you. And so,
getting his mentions about Penny Hardaway too.
That's right. Yeah, my guy,
that's
Anthony Jennings, who, by the way, is playing so much better this year. My guy, Anthony Jennings. You know what I mean? But I still call him Penny every now and again. But ever since you were like, dude, don't do that, I was like, all right, okay.
I'm just saying, you gotta respect him, man. Like, and shout out to Patriots for Christ in the comments, man. Thank you for the luck. You guys have, good luck this week, and I hope everybody is comes out of this game healthy and
Yeah.
But I just hope we come out with the dub. We got to stump on y'all.
And listen, I'll tell you what, man. As a Patriots fan, and we talked about this anyways, like Patriots clinched the top 9 pick. If you could tell me that the Patriots are gonna draft 9th overall, but beat the Bills and keep them out of the playoffs, I'd take that 100 times out of 100. But I don't think it's going to happen. And honestly, you get to this point of the season, and I'm like, it's kind of like a double edge. It's kind of like it's both good things. If we win, great, we beat the Bills. If we lose, well, we get a better draft pick. So
hey, and Bailey Zappi undefeated against the Buffalo Bills.
Great point. Great point.
To change.
All right. Well, thanks again, Spence. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the new year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Please
take care, buddy. All right, let's get into a break, and then we'll come back and finish the show. Thanks, guys. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. MA 21 plus and present in Mass. Hope is here. First online real money wager only. $5 pre-game money line wager required. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. GamblingHelpLineMA.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. All right, so we're back. Man, he's just the best. Spence is just the best. Love that guy. He's so positive. He's such an interesting dude, and so we love having him on the show. So, so it was great. It was great to have him in with us. So that was a lot of fun. But let's get into we're going to get to our last kind of segments here. But before we do, just a quick thing on the Russell Wilson's thing, because of course Patriots played Denver last week. And I know it's Buffalo to play Denver last week, and it's the last start that he's going to have. And then there's some questions about, are they benching him because of the injury thing that he has? Are they benching him because someone came out and said that they wanted him to take a restructure his contract, and he refused to do that, and so they're benching him kind of in spite of that. It's just a complete mess over there, and I don't know how you move forward now with Russell Wilson. I mean, look. He didn't look great against the Patriots. Like, there's no doubt that he didn't look great against the Patriots. But, like, he also led them back in that game and, like, gave them the lead, right? Like, well, I don't know.
He has not been good this season. He's basically, he does two things. And one of them is throw screens. And the other one is just chuck deep shots. And he doesn't really do a whole lot else. And, like, he's never been the best anticipatory guy. He's never been the best at like pre-snap reading defenses. His strength has been ability to extend plays and create. He just doesn't have that athleticism anymore. He just doesn't have that in him, and he doesn't have the other skills. So like he's not bad, but he's not really a starter in the NFL anymore. He's like a starter in the same way that like Jacoby Brissett would be a starter. But it also doesn't sound like he's bought into being like a rotational guy the way Brissett is. He thinks he still has it, and at least did after last season. I will credit him in that it seems like he was told this by the organization in October. And it seems like the organization handled this very poorly, and he has taken the high road on it, which credit to him for that. But weird situation. Seems like one where kind of everybody is in the wrong except for the Seahawks, who made out like bandits in this whole thing.
Yes,
and Broncos are now resetting, and you're looking at 2 more years before they can be competitive. If they depending on how they want to do this, it sounds like they're just straight up cutting him. You're either going to tackle on like an extra $50 million onto your cap hit next year, and they're already like $18 million over the cap, or you spread it out over 2 seasons and you're still increasing it next year and you're adding on in 2025. So that's one of those two. And if you do that, like especially if you're taking it all now, it's fire sale time. You're going to restructure guys, obviously, but you can't make up that much cap space without moving at least 1 or 2 players. And this kind of comes back around to the Patriots in my eyes, because the easy move for them, the guy they can move with no dead cap, who as of right now would not be a part of their future, is Jerry Jeudy. Coming back to that name, he'd be like a $10 million cap hit with 1 year left on his deal. And with all of that and the fact that the Broncos might kind of be forced to sell here, you might get him cheaper. You might get Jerry Jeudy for a 4th round pick. And that starts looking really appealing if I'm GM of the New England Patriots right now, to get a guy of that talent for that low of a cost. And the other name is Garrett Bowles, who's one of their starting tackles, who's played very well. They can free up some space by trading him. So, might be a fire sale out there in Mile High, and maybe the Patriots can jump in on some of these guys if the opportunity's there.
Right. When Old Man Mom mentions Courtland Sutton, and Sutton's a guy that I feel like they're going to want to keep around. Jeudy is a guy that just hasn't, for whatever reason, hasn't worked out. I love Jerry Jeudy. I thought he could be a real star in this league. It's never happened. And of course, it didn't happen this year with Russell Wilson, but it really didn't happen the last 2 years either. So I don't know if you're ever going to get there, if he's ever going to get there. He just seems very, very inconsistent. And
with Sutton, he is they have to trade him later in the off seasons if they're going to do it. So I don't know how much it would even help them immediately. They could free up space if they trade him later on. Just, your issue there is that Sutton is more expensive than Jeudy and more injury prone. He's better. So, you get that. But if I'm the Patriots, I think Jeudy is the one of those two I want, considering the price. And I also think he's the more likely to be moved here. So, and it's also going to depend on what the Broncos do. Because if they spread this cap hit out over 2 years for Russell Wilson, they may not have to move on from anybody. They might be able to fix it all with the restructures, and maybe they get rid of one guy in there. So we'll see. But, some potential Patriots implications there. Yeah,
when you think about, what they traded for him. And so, look, I mean, they traded Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris. What? Fine. Noah Fant's fine. Shelby Harris, I don't even know if he's still in Seattle, to be honest with you. Defensive tackle. And Drew Lock is Drew Lock, right? So fine, whatever.
Beat the Eagles.
That's true. But which is outrageous that actually happened. But then they traded the number 9 pick in the 2022 draft, their 2nd round pick in the 2022 draft, what turned out to be the number 5 overall pick in the Yes, the number 5 pick in the 2023 draft, which is Devin Witherspoon, and then also the 2nd round pick in 2023. So, to give up 2 first round picks and 2 second round picks, and I think they also traded a 5th round pick and 3 players, that's a massive, massive haul. And the Broncos, of course, gave Russell that massive contract, and the Seahawks just saw it.
Played it. They're cutting him before he plays a down on that contract.
Right.
That's wild.
Yeah, which is insane. So that's the type of stuff where you look at it and just think man, you see what Seattle did. They added a tackle, who Charles Cross is a good player. Mafe is an edge rusher who's pretty good. Devin Witherspoon is their number 1 corner right now and looks like he's pretty good. And again, I don't know how good, in my opinion. I had Christian Gonzalez as the number 1, right, as the number 1 overall player, number 1 overall corner. But still, I do think that, Witherspoon has shown some real good upside for them.
And Geno Smith has also been an upgraded quarterback for them. Forget all of that. They did all this and upgraded the quarterback position.
Yeah, which is completely insane. That's the crazy thing, right? And so, and Derek Hall, I don't know if he's done a ton for them, to be honest with you. He's their second round pick this year. But
they've already lost the trade by the time you get to him.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. So it's really crazy. And Old Man Mob's asking, who had the worst trade, whether it was the Broncos for Russ or the Browns for Watson. Whew, man, I mean, they're both.
If we're talking ethically, it's the Browns.
Correct.
If we're talking on-field results, I feel like it's got to be the Broncos. It's also hilarious that Joe Flacco just came back into the league and is apparently like playing like a top 10 quarterback. Like
he's playing way better than Deshaun Watson ever played. But again, they traded what? See, the thing with that is that they're still not done. I mean, they traded a 2022 first round pick, a 2023 first round pick, and a 2024 first round pick, and they're trading a third round pick this year. So that's a whole hell of a lot, right? And last year was a top 5 as well, wasn't it? Because they traded back into the Texans traded up to number 3. Were they? Yeah, I don't remember, but
I don't remember where that came. But the Browns were also a better team when they made that move than the Broncos were, and that was, I think, one of the issues. This was the issue with the whole AFC West. When you go back 2 years in the arms race you had out there, every team not named Kansas City completely overvalued the players on their own roster. The Russell Wilson trade only makes sense, assuming he's going to be good, if you think the rest of your roster is, playoff caliber. And those guys weren't. Sutton has been hurt. Judy has been underwhelming. Tim Patrick keeps getting hurt for them. Their offensive line has been not great, even though they finally find a way to kind of settle it down now. And the defense has been really hit or miss. Look at the Chargers. A lot of great names on that roster. They haven't played like it. They just haven't, and the depth has been atrocious. And then the Raiders went all in after going 9-7, squeaking into the playoffs or something with some really lucky stuff, and said we're one move away. We'll go get Devontae Adams and Derek, and a pair of Derek Carr, and that was a mirage. I don't. When I think that the big thing, you kind of come back to some of the stuff with the Patriots too, them going all in 2021, and the theme seems to be as you make the big splashy move to win the offseason, that almost never actually ends up winning the offseason. And I think the other part of that is you should probably be a little bit more conservative with your projections of teams going forward anyway. But
it is interesting, though. I mean, you talk about the Bills, and we talked about with Spence. The Bills and the Eagles both did the same thing, traded a first-round pick for a number 1 wide receiver, and it paid off for them in the long run. Now, they haven't won a championship yet, either team, but they've been very, very good. And so I think that, that's...
And Miami, too.
And Miami as well, right? And so those become the situations where you wonder, okay, yeah, you gave up a lot to get those guys, but, the evaluation of your team needs to be correct. You need to get it right? And so I think that we'll see. We'll kind of see where it goes. And but again, you have to know what you're doing. If your team isn't as good as you think it is, you're screwed. But if they are, you could really set yourself up to take that kind of next step,
Yeah. So, and we'll have to apply those lessons to the Patriots here too, and how to operate this going forward. And maybe once we figure out what the coaching situation is going to be, and we take some time off after the season, we can look back with fresh eyes and figure out, okay, removed from the emotion of the season and the week-to-week turmoil, how do we actually feel about these guys? How many of these guys do we want to keep around?
And that's the question, right? And you look at, I go back to 2019 when they had won the Super Bowl in 2018. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round, which they needed to do. They drafted the wrong guy, but then they signed Antonio Brown. Didn't work out. They traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. Didn't work out, right? They tried to do all of these things, these panic moves to try to fill something in, and they just were never able to pull it off, right? And they also didn't have a succession plan for Gronk, which those are the situations where you can't get caught with your pants down like that and unprepared, and that's what happened.
Yeah. And they also, sometimes you get unlucky. You make the Antonio Brown signing knowing that it's risky, and you get the bad end of that risk, and you give up a little more than you should for Sanu. And especially with the Emmanuel Sanders trade happening right after that, you would have preferred that trade. And you got to question some of the way those things come together. And Sanu immediately gets hurt when he comes to New England, so you never get to see. That was basically it for him. Whenever he got that high ankle sprain, he was never the same after that. And that was it for his career, basically. And now you got no juice, even though you got a defense that's elite, and they just kind of faded. Some of the turnovers dry up. Baltimore exposes you when it comes to the run defense and some of the weaknesses you had there schematically. And you just you never find the juice again. To be fair, that was also a team that had just won the Super Bowl. And, you don't usually go back to back.
100%. And, TJ mentions Josh Gordon, who they signed in 2018, or traded for, I should say, in 2018. I would push back on saying he was a great signing by them because he just really didn't do much here, right? He was here in 2018, did win a ring, but he was suspended for the end of that season, right? So they almost won in spite of Josh Gordon, right? So it becomes one of those situations where he was here. We liked him when he was here. And he was a pretty good player, but he wasn't really a huge impact on the field, right? Caught Brady's 500 touchdown pass, but he just, he wasn't the player they wanted him to be.
Well, he had good numbers in 2018, but then obviously wasn't available in the playoffs, which hurt them. In 2019, he was on that team too, and then he got suspended again, right? And then he ends up coming off and goes to Seattle. That was Didn't they have Demaryius Thomas?
They did, in camp, and then caught him. Yeah,
because he was the end of his career at that point. But, a lot of bad luck there, all at the same time, and that's life in the NFL. Sometimes you make all the right. You draft a receiver in the first, you sign a bunch of experienced vets, and you trade for an experienced vet. Not a single one of the moves works for you.
Right.
Sometimes that's how it goes.
Sometimes that's how it goes. You get that. So. All right, let's get into our final three segments here. We'll get this train rolling here. So the first segment is going to be our prop bets.
Wait, before we do this, I want to add something that I just remembered for this week, just for Patriots fans, because it's relevant with the draft stuff. Commanders switching to Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback here for the final 2 weeks. I don't know why they're doing it, but Brissett is a better quarterback, I think, than Sam Howell, and I think they have better chances of winning these last 2 games, and Washington finding a way to get a win here wouldn't shock me. So, I don't know. I think the Pats, I don't know. I'm still not sure how the strength of schedule stuff works, because I think it does bake in the Eagles and Cowboys already into that.
Yes, but it counts double. Like when you play them twice.
I think the strength of schedule stuff counts your entire thing for the season, whether or not you played the games.
I don't think it does.
Okay. I've heard conflicting things from people on that, so I'm not really sure.
I don't believe that it does, because otherwise what would really change? I mean, of course, one game, but I think your strength of schedule changes when you play the play. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
We'll have better clarity after this week.
We will. Yes, when the Patriots, when they play San Fran, who has a better record than Buffalo, we'll see what that, if it fluctuates significantly. But we'll see.
And if Washington wins a game in here they play the Eagles this week, a team that
Washington's got San Fran and then Dallas.
Oh, San Fran. Who has the Eagles then? Oh, Arizona has the Eagles. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, you go back to Arizona. The Eagles look kind of in flux a little bit here. They've been a little bit all over the place with the way they've played, and they're much better than Arizona, but weird things happen. The Jets shouldn't have beaten the Rams in 2020, and they did. So
and you never know what's going to happen. I think for the Patriots, if one of those teams finds a way to win and you end up at the number 2 spot, you have to lose against the Jets. You have to, because it's going to get you the number 2 pick, and you could get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Caleb Williams or whatever the case may be. But
Drake May. Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult to make that decision, but we'll kind of see. We'll kind of see what happens, and it is interesting. I do think that Ron Rivera is out, and I think that Ron Rivera knows that. He also knows that Jacoby Brissett gives him the best chance to win, And so he says, screw it. I'm not going with Sam Howell anymore, who looked like he's regressed the last few weeks. I'm going with Brissett anyways. Gives me a best chance to win the game. And I'm on my way out anyways. I don't care about the draft pick. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to win. And so, and if it screws over the organization, all the better, right? So I think that's the only rationale. I mean, there's no other rationale behind it. Like, why are you starting your, older veteran quarterback? You don't need to know, right? It just doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. I don't know. So, and yes, David, I just do it for the money. That's 100%. I'm not a fan. I just work for the money. You're right. That's you, David. You hit the nail on the head. You know what I mean? Although his draft strategy is to fall to 8 and draft Bo Nix, and the Patriots will be back in the Super Bowl in 2 years. So that's great draft strategy. So yes, no, I haven't been a season ticket holder since 2000. I
don't. When he does that, he does ask about Bo Nix here with his completion percentage. I actually like. I kind of like Bo Nix as a second round or third round prospect just because he's really poised. He's got the arm. He can make throws, but his completion percentage number is very high because most of the Oregon offense is very short dump offs and RPO stuff that's very simple underneath with wide open field that you get in college. There's really no way of knowing how he's going to translate mentally to the NFL. So, I mean, he's a risk. He does some things well, but and it's also, I think we've been pretty consistent here about like the whole tanking thing that we don't want to win games by accident. We don't want to go in and beat the Jets on a fluke and miss out on a draft pick because of that. Neither of us. I mean, you'd be at the game. You're not going to be rooting for the Jets when you're there. You're just not going to be sad if they end up losing.
Correct, and it becomes one of those things that where you sit there and say, "Hey, look, if we win, great. I want to win because I always want to win. But like, if you lose, it gives you a better draft pick, and that sets you up for the future, right? And again." We don't have to lose. It doesn't really matter if we end up at the 6th pick or the 7th pick or the 8th. Like, we'll be fine. We drafted Christian Gonzalez 17 overall last year. Like, we got a really good player. But if you want to get a franchise left tackle, if you want to get a franchise wide receiver, if you want to get a franchise quarterback, you have a better chance of getting that guy at the top of the draft. That doesn't mean you're going to, as we've seen a ton of times, but you have a much better chance of getting it if you're at the top of the draft.
Well, and specifically with this draft too, if you want a quarterback, I feel a lot more comfortable with May or Williams than I do with Jaden Daniels at this point. Right. I like Jaden Daniels, but I don't like him to the point where I'm like, we got to grab him if we're at pick 4. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that with the other guys on the board. And if you want a quarterback, the simplest way is to have the 2nd pick in the draft and maybe the 3rd pick, and you can make something happen or get a little bit lucky there.
Right. Well, listen, to me, it's top 3. If you love Caleb Williams and Drake May, then it's top 3 because either Arizona is going to take a quarterback, which I don't think is going to happen, or Arizona is going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. But either way, you're going to end up with a quarterback or Marvin Harrison Jr. And like, to me, that's a win, right? And so, you can also trade back. If you love the 2 quarterbacks, they're going 1-2, you could move back and pick up some extra stuff and, and draft a guy like Malik Neighbors or Keon Coleman in the top 10. But anyway,
I will say Malik Neighbors as a consolation prize here for the Patriots if they don't get a quarterback is very, very good. And I mean, he's not Marvin Harrison Jr., but he is closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. than I think anybody would have expected coming into the season. He's the kind of guy who you can add him to your offense and ignite things. Like I love his profile, and that's who the Pats ended up coming away with that. Or, they might need a left tackle here. We didn't even talk about the Trent Brown stuff, which I still can't get a read on. They're saying
he's gone. Trent Brown's gone. He's not coming back. I'm all set with the Trent Brown situation.
People keep saying it's an attitude thing, and like, I don't know. He had some weird looking plays on Sunday, but also he has been playing through injury, and like you can physically see it with the way he's wincing and moving his
Absolutely.
body.
Right.
And the last time we saw him play through illness was against Buffalo last year, and it looked a lot like that. So I understand some skepticism about the injury report and why he's not out there, but also I kind of think he's just sick, and most of what we're seeing on the field has to do with him playing through stuff right now. And I don't know. I am still not certain that he's leaving. I'll put it that way. I want to see what happens in the next couple of months here.
I just, after what, we talked to Sophie last week, the type of things that he said last week, and then, and again, it's nothing. It's really nothing. But when you see everyone in the huddle all excited saying, oh, yeah, and he's, walking away before that even starts, it's just kind of like, dude, what are we doing here, man? And again, am I looking too deep into it? Yes, 100%. But
you know who also stands on the outside, doesn't participate in a lot of that stuff, is Keon White.
Right. True. That's true. Yeah, no. And so that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking too deep into it, and I know I'm looking too deep into it, but it becomes one of those situations where I get it, but you see those little things and you see what you want to see, right? If you're in a situation where you're looking at Trent Brown and saying he doesn't believe and he's not bought in and he doesn't like the Patriots, and old man mom says he loves the Patriots when they're winning and he's about to get paid, but he hates the Patriots when we're losing, or he gets upset, right? I can see that, right? But when you look at it and you just say, man, you see what you want to see, right? And so when you see the way he plays sometimes, you see his attitude at sometimes, you see the things he says, then you can look at it and say, well, okay, now I see what I want to see. I see him not engaging. I see him not being there. And so, again, I don't know what's true and what isn't true, but that's kind of what I see,
Yeah, when it's, if you got a guy who has issues buying in, but who will always buy in when you're winning, no, I'm kind of that doesn't bother me that much. You expect to win. The goal here is to win. If you're losing, and you figure things out then. I don't think if you got culture issues in the locker room, that's one thing, but I still don't think the Patriots have that. And even the most outrageous things Trent Brown has said are still things that seem kind of plainly obvious and true, and are the types of things I'm sure have been discussed with coaches by at least some players in the locker room. Saying them publicly isn't always the best idea, but also, he isn't giving quotes about hating Bill Belichick or wanting to get out of there. He's being asked his opinion on things and giving his honest opinion on things. And, that's a guy I still feel like you can work with. Whether they are going to want to, I don't know. But, if you got a guy who's straight up and honest with you and will buy in if everybody else is bought in, you're not going to expect him to be your team leader, but you can win with players like that, especially this is a short-term solution. If you're signing Trent Brown for 2 years and you expect 2 years and you're going to plan for the future in that time span, then I think that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, all right, let's get into these prop bets. So we're still terrible at them. It's not good. We both went 1-1 last week, though. However, okay. I'm now 10-22 on the season. I went 1-1 week 16. I had Kyron Williams over 16.5 receiving yards. He had 0 receiving yards, so that was under because 0 is less than 16.5. And I had Easton Stick over 210 passing yards, which he hit. How about that? Love it. And then week 16, you are now 13-19, so 3-game lead with 4 bets left to go. So you better win, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll keep it going in the playoffs. You never know. But you had a Tyler Higbee anytime TD, which did not happen, and you had Lamar Jackson over 215.5 passing yards, which did hit. So that's what we got. So do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I know I've already teased one of mine.
I can take it.
Go ahead.
Give me my Thursday night prop. Jets as a team under 1.5 touchdowns.
Ooh, okay. Jets under 1.5 TDs. Love it. Love it. All right. What's your second one? You want to go with your
second one?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. What the heck?
Let's go. I'm going for a Jackson Smith and Jigba anytime touchdown for the Seahawks.
I like that one. JSN, he's quietly been having a much better year lately. And so having him as an anytime TD is that's an interesting bet. I like that one.
Super Bowl 40 rematch out there in Seattle too.
There you go. Look at that. So, and then mine for week 17, I already mentioned this one, but Stefon Diggs over on the receiving yards at number 68.5. I had the note as go over. It didn't matter what it was. And so it's pretty low. 68.5 isn't bad. He does not have to hit 100 yards to do that. And so that's what I went with. And then I have an interesting one. I'm going with Joe Flacco with 2+ passing touchdowns on Thursday night against the Jets. That one, I'm a little nervous about that one, but I figured, you know what, maybe the Browns will pile up on the Jets and take that dub. So
I like that. I like it. I'm also, Old Man Mom has a question here I'm going to answer before we get to the trivia question.
Yes.
Because you mentioned the Seahawks in there. Loves Tyler Lockett. Was wondering if there's any chance the Seahawks might trade him. Just pulled up his contract notes, and the Seahawks would have a huge dead cap hit if they trade him going into next season. So I mean, I think he'd be a fit. I like that too, but I don't think they're going to be moving on from him after this season. Maybe after next season. That I think could be doable. But for 2024, I don't think he's going to be in New England. I think if you're looking for trade guys, I think you're looking at Jerry Jeudy coming from the Broncos. I think the Chargers might end up moving some guys, and I don't know, those receivers aren't all that appealing. I don't know how much I want an expensive and old Keenan Allen at this point, especially when the Patriots' issue is not enough team speed.
Right.
We'll see who else. I don't know if maybe the Saints are going to be. The Saints are in a nightmare of a cap situation right now, and they're going to have to move people. I don't even know who the Patriots would want from that receiving core. I don't think there's anybody they can move that saves them money
Olave?
there.
No.
Yeah, I love Olave, but he, I don't know what's up with Rashid Shaheed, but he has been kind of good for them, and he's fast. So maybe he ends up in New England.
Never
As
know.
a depth option, fight with Tyquan Thornton for a roster spot next year. I don't hate that.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got for trivia, Matt?
All right. Last week we had. Let's pull it up here. Which Patriots punter was the one who took the snap for the intentional safety at Denver in 2003? It was Ken Walter. Your dad, I believe, won that one with my dad coming in right behind him. I don't know how we were doing that. I went back to the last Patriots win in Week 17 over the Bills, which was back in 2013. The Pats wrapped up the season, head into the playoffs that year. My question is simple. Which Pats running back had 2 touchdowns that day as they rolled the Bills in the season finale?
That's a good question. I like that. 2013 Week 17 matchup against the Bills. How about that? I like it. If you could remember who the Patriots running back was in 2013, you might win this. But I don't know if you can. Let's see. You never know.
I think somebody will be able to get it.
I would hope.
And that was that season where the Patriots running game really picked up at the end of the year. And the Bills were not the last team to get rolled by this running back. I'll tell you that much.
That is correct. That is quite correct. Yes. Yep. So, all right, let's get into our final segment of the day. Here we go.
And now for something we think you'll really like. This week in sports history.
All right. So it is This Week in Sports History. Would you like to go first, sir? I have 2. Would you like to go first?
Well, before I give mine, I'm going to shout out my grandparents here for a second with a Christmas gift. They got me this page-a-day calendar for my desk. Sports facts every day. So I'm going to be pulling from that quite frequently in the new year. I got all my facts printed out for me.
Love it.
What I'm going for on this day, December 27th in 1981, Edmonton Oiler Wayne Gretzky became the fastest NHLer to reach 100 points in a season, his 38th game. Had 4 goals and an assist in a 10-3 win over the Kings.
That's so incredible. He's just I mean, it's not even fair. You know, we talk about the GOAT, obviously, and Brady being the GOAT and so on and so forth. And I love Bobby Orr. I love Bobby Orr. But Wayne Gretzky is just so far superior to everyone else in hockey. I mean, you look at his numbers. I mean, and we've talked about this, but man, his numbers, if you took away all of his goals every single goal that he scored, if you took away all of those goals, he would still be the number one point scorer in NHL history. I mean, that's insane. He has more assists than anyone else has goals and assists combined. This is just stupid.
His jersey's retired like everywhere.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Like he's just that good. Like that's insane.
Which,
like,
by the way, speaking
12 was good.
No, speaking of that, Udonis freaking Haslam, dude. Screw that guy and the train that he rolled in on, man. Are you kidding me, dude? Talking crap about Bill Russell because Bill Russell's numbers are tired because you don't like the Celtics. Like, Bill Russell's not this influence. Oh, by the way, they have Michael Jordan's number retired too, but you don't see him talking crap about Michael Jordan. But it's interesting. He could have certainly done that, but he didn't. And he's taking shots at Bill Russell because why? He's dead. Like, what are we even talking about, dude? Like,
and that's very well earned by Bill Russell too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's like saying, well, Jackie Robinson, screw Jackie Robinson. Like, I hate the Dodgers. Like, what are you even talking about, dude? Like, what are you insane? Yeah. Like, it's not. You're not even. Bill Russell's number isn't retired because he's one of the best players of all time. He is one of the best players of all time, but his number's not retired because of that. His number's retired because of the things that he did off the floor as well. The fact that he was the first African-American head coach in NBA history, the fact that he was a civil rights leader, and the fact that he always spoke out. Like, that's why his number's retired, dude. Like, learn your freaking history, you dummy. And that just like that one, that pissed me off, and it should piss everyone off when you hear something like that come out of some idiot like that.
Yeah, it's just not. Like, what are we doing here? Bill Russell.
Anyways,
I'll get off
your
facts?
I have two first one from 1953. The Detroit Lions. That's right. The Detroit Lions beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16 in the NFL championship to retain the title. Second year in a row, the Detroit Lions have won. Could we see a rematch of the Super Bowl this year? I don't know. Maybe we could. And then from 1964, another NFL championship game, and this one involving the Browns as well. They shut out the Baltimore Colts 27-0. Now, why is this game important? This game's important because it was the last championship by a major league pro sports team from Cleveland until the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. So just, 64 to 2016. My goodness, 52 years in between championships, not for one franchise, for an entire city. So, obviously the Browns are a cursed franchise, but for the entire city of Cleveland to struggle and have what they had for so long is just brutal.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of cursed cities, Detroit, like the Lions finally get good.
Yeah.
And the Pistons are historically and hilariously bad.
27 straight losses. Incredible.
And they got like 41 points from Cade Cunningham, your star young player. You're building the team around, and you can't beat the Nets. Like, it's just I feel bad for Detroit fans, but it is from the outside also very funny.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
There's a morbid humor, a dark humor to watching what's going on there, and every team is going to give them their best shot too, because nobody wants to be the team that loses to them. Like I think
the Celtics play him Friday, and it's like you cannot lose that game.
Don't do it.
You can't.
Yeah, you just can't. Now that we talked about it, they're going to lose it.
Right. Oh God.
But,
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Like you can't do it. So
they don't play him Friday. They play him Saturday or something like that. They're playing Toronto Friday, but I know they're playing him soon. And you just absolutely cannot lose that game.
It might be Thursday, Friday, and one of those days there, and they play the Spurs on New Year's Eve. So.
Right. So. Yeah. But that's just like, no, please God, don't. Oh, they play them tomorrow night, Thursday night.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for coming along with us, guys. We appreciate it. It is Bills week and 2 games left. All we got is 2 games left, and we'll be talking about the off season. Before you know it, we'll be doing draft season. We'll be doing mock drafts. We'll be talking about players they'll be drafting. We'll know exactly where they're drafting, and so that'll be fun. So. But anyways, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming through. Thanks again to Spence. Listen, we said this already. If you don't follow Spence on social media, do it. Do it because he's a great follow. He's a great guy. Really is one of the good ones. One of the good ones. So definitely follow him. And again, he's a Bills fan, but it's okay. He's one of the good guys on Twitter, and those are the guys you want to surround yourself with, and girls as well that you want to surround yourself with when you're on Twitter. So or X or whatever the hell it's called now. But anyways, that's what we got. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you on Sunday, New Year's Eve, the last day of 2023. We'll be talking about the aftermath of the Bills Patriots game. Take care, guys, and we'll talk to you then.